were in Bright for pre-season camp a couple of weeks ago, and I actually saw the Chief jumping into a rock pool in his Speedo, so I think I'd prefer to see Stacky doing a backflip than the Chief. Look, I think we encourage all players to live a life outside footy, and certainly jumping into a rock pool I don't think was in breach of any of our footy codes, but we haven't exactly decided on what the team rules are going to be yet, so maybe that'll be on me. Oh, look, actually, we were at the club when we were here today when it sort of came out, and yeah, I think it was a bit of a non-issue in our eyes, really. You know, Tom Lynch was there with him and was swimming in the same rock pool, and all of a sudden it's a Sydney Stack issue. So look, I think it's not really much to talk about there.
That was Richmond's new co-captain Dylan Grimes answering some questions about Sydney Stack, who Kane Cornes caught his eye over the weekend. We spoke about it yesterday. Sydney Stack doing a backflip off a 8 to 9 metre high cliff down the Mornington Peninsula into a body of water that Kane said was a high risk that you shouldn't be doing, especially if you're a player in Sydney Stack's position. That was Dylan Grimes' comments. What do you think, JJ? Life outside of footy, or has Kane got some valid points?
I can see a tiny bit of validity in Kane's commentary, but what did he mention what he thought was actually dangerous about it?
Well, he's done a backflip off a 9 metre high cliff. I guess there's all manner of things that
into
could go
the
wrong.
water.
Into a
Wasn't
pool
trying to
of
land
water.
on his feet on the concrete.
No, but it's obviously a risky act. But obviously,
it looks risky.
For Sydney Stack, it might not be risky.
That's right. It might be like you and I just being on the skipping rope.
It may be, and it wouldn't have been his first rodeo.
But
as
point
a player
of the
in his
debate
position
is, but no, you try just so you're expected to try harder because you're in your career is supposedly at the crossroads. Well, trying harder doesn't necessarily make it work.
No, his beef with it was that don't put yourself in risky situations where you can basically hurt yourself.
But Sydney may well be, so taking the players' side, Sydney may well be a young man who can't actually be or fulfil his footballing talents without doing these things away from footy.
That's who he is, yeah.
And the club are aware the risk versus reward, the risk of him potentially hurting himself jumping off a cliff, looked like a rock to me, jumping off a rock into the water, which he has likely done a million times, is worth the risk, quote unquote, as opposed to get the best out of him when he's in the footy club, because he might be engaged because he's just had a release. He's just been able to go in and live his life and swim and do those sorts of things. He's far better jumping off rocks into the water than he is sitting on gambling all day or drinking all day or doing silly things like that.